All right. I think we're about ready here. Is my mic clipping? Looks really high on the meter. All right. Nice little fade out there. All right.
This week has been a fuck, eh?
Yeah. Welcome to the Ref Report. I am Jimmy Ruffian. This is my lovely partner, Nat. We are reporting live from Ottawa. Do we look ugly under this light? Is this terrible lighting for us? Should I change that?
It's not great, but I don't know, whatever.
I hate white light. I don't know what the deal with that is. Why is that desirable? Is that like a... I feel like is like movie and news sets like that, is the lighting this white, or is there a little bit of a warmer tone to it?
You have dinner on you.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I suspect it's to. Am I lisping?
I don't think so.
I suspect is it suspect lisping? Going through orthodontia, so I've got different things in my mouth right now.
I'm gonna fiddle with the light.
All right, let's see if you can make us less fuggers.
I feel like the yellow light.
Yeah,
it's a bit nicer to us. Mm-hmm. It looks more natural. It's less sterile.
Unlike me. Haha.
Hey, oh, I see what you did there. Get my hair out of my face. All right, here we go. Okay. We were talking quite a bit last week about all the transphobic nonsense. We were touching a lot on that stuff.
And it's not relented, so don't worry.
Of course, I don't know. We'll probably end up talking about that more because it's just such a thing. Like it's mostly what I'm getting in my Twitter feed these days. The way Twitter is functioning is basically cramming the most hateful stuff onto your for you like suggested page as possible. Yeah. So unfortunately, most of the time, even right before dinner, there was some guy going on covering, trying to come at me with the same topics we were discussing on the show last week. Why do you want strippers in front of drag queens? The complete straw manning of any argument, like anybody wants that.
Sorry, you just said strippers in front of drag queens.
Well, I do. Yes, I kind of want that in front of kids. Sorry, get my wires crossed. Let's have strippers for drag queens hour. Sure.
I mean, that just sounds like Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello, Jessica. Thank you for joining us. Our viewer counter is apparently not working. I'm still showing 0 viewers, so who knows how many we have right now.
Could be 2.
Yeah, it could be 2. I mean, 5 was like the highest we used to get a lot of the time. But last week, I think we were almost we were over 12 at one point. I don't know who was watching, but collectively, last week's episode has over 100 views, which is great. I don't think we had that many watchers since I interviewed the candidate for the Communist Party last year, which was probably the second most viewers we got. Mm-hmm. So thank you for tuning in. Apparently, ragging on douchebags like Matt Walsh is a really good way of going about that.
I recommend doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I enjoy ripping these people up. I don't enjoy that they exist. I don't enjoy that I feel like I have some sort of obligation to counter their bullshit. But I'm going to take the fun where I can get it, I guess.
Yeah, they suck, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are here and you are watching the show live, we love to hear from you. Be part of the chat. Mm-hmm. You know what I probably will touch on is that video you sent me earlier, which does touch on that topic, like, you know, the wave of transphobia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
sort
first,
of from an organizational, like, backroom sort of aspect.
yeah, we're getting into Illuminati level stuff with it, but it's like, you know, all the terrible ideas you had about like secret societies and stuff like that, and people trying to control the political narrative. There is some truth to that.
Yeah.
But in not the ways mainstream conspiracy theory may have you believe.
Well, not
that would be how I would
not the way that you'll see on Truth Social or on Twitter.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. We're not talking about like, you know, the
lizard people.
Yeah, lizard people, which is just kind of like, I feel like for some people it's some sort of anti-Semitic code. The lizard people thing. For other people, I think they really believe there are lizards dressed in human skin. I actually used to work with a guy like that. I still to this day am not sure if he was just fucking with me, but
at the old location.
What?
At the Toronto.
No. Like years ago when I was like when I was working for Rogers and I was taking like inbound customer service calls for Rogers. There was a guy who worked at that office, and he had a picture of Obama in his cubicle, and half his face was torn, and it had the lizard skin and eye underneath it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty funny, and he just like deadpan, like looked at me like, what's funny about that? Just like,
where do I start?
And I was like, "What? You really think he's a lizard person?" And he was serious. He seemed serious. If he was messing with me, he was doing a really good job of it. And he wasn't the type of guy to kind of have fun like that. So I think he was serious. I think he really believed that there were lizard people in the world.
So either he was serious, or you're working with Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Andy Kaufman quit his.
I can't remember his name.
Then now he's working for Rogers.
Yeah. Yeah. That was his long game, was to end up working at a Canadian telecom call center.
Yeah, sounds right. That tracks.
It's the dream, right? That's what everybody's going for. Okay, but before we get to that, because I feel like that can wrap everything up in a nice little package as to what we're touching on here in the grand scheme of things. So, okay, is that the... Okay, this feels like a better screen to throw up there. Okay. So CNN, Trump says he expects to be arrested Tuesday as New York law enforcement prepares for possible indictment. Yeah. And what's really funny about like when you're kind of reading the social media feeds about this and stuff is nobody seems to really understand what the actual grounds of these charges are. Like, from your centrist liberals that are anti-Trump are just kind of like, yeah, he's getting arrested finally. And they don't really seem to care what it's for. And then,
which I respect.
Yeah, which is fine. I don't care much about that either. But and then you got like the people on the right who are like, it's all just like BS trumped up charges, or they're getting it sort of half right. Like they're like something to do with Stormy Daniels but Clinton paid off this lady in the 90s and nobody cared about that. And it's just like, again, I think people did care about that. There was probably the man did get impeached.
Yeah.
Separate reasons, but still. Yeah. Kind of along the same lines, with Monica Lewinsky and everything. But, they're doing the whataboutism when the nature of the charges, well, actually, you were the one who first explained this to me, so you go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, so basically, he violated campaign finance laws, and so that's where they're getting him.
Yeah,
so
it does have to do with Stormy Daniels, though.
Well, yeah, because apparently she was paid off out of the campaign finances. Like it was marked as legal expenses because his lawyer paid off Stormy Daniels with it. I am lisping. Give me one second.
Okay. Because of your mouth gear.
Because of my tooth. Okay. Anyways, So yeah, like he said that that these were legal expenses, and they were only insofar as his lawyer handled the check to bring to Stormy Daniels to pay her off. So that is just
That's so
hilarious.
Trumpian.
Yeah,
You know, like
like-
that's just, it's so like, well, if you hand her the check, then I can't be guilty.
I mean, clearly you work in the legal system, so anything that you do,
Yeah.
we'll just
It has to
put
do with the
under that.
law.
Yeah,
This is legal stuff.
like
You know, you think over the years I would have worked on my Trump impression somehow, because
I just want him to stop being a thing, so I don't care to.
yeah,
work
maybe
on
that's what it was. Maybe that's why
Yeah.
I never did the Trump
Yeah.
impression thing, because I just didn't.
it. Well, it's like,
Acknowledging the reality of it would be too harsh.
well, not just that, but like I don't care to put time into perfecting it or making sure it's accurate, because
Yeah.
that would require me to like watch him, and he's just. It's
I had a
so
pretty good
exhausting.
Bernie down for a while, but I feel like I've lost it. I don't
Bernie-
know if I could do Bernie like I used to a couple of years ago
Yeah,
when I
well,
was practicing it more.
except Bernie's a gift, so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He's just
it
a
was
joy.
with love, that impression.
yeah. Anywho, so it's hilarious that of all his frauderies and illegalities, that campaign finance violation is going to be, and I'm going to say the first indictment that goes through,
Yeah.
right? So this is,
You know, not inciting a coup. Couldn't get him on that one.
I mean, not yet. We'll see in
Like-
2050. I don't fucking know. But the fact that this is the
Thank you.
first one
Thank
that
you,
they're
Jessica.
actually bringing the indictment is chef's kiss.
Jessica likes my Bernie, everybody.
It's a good Bernie. Yeah. So, anyways, that's fine.
Yeah, so like you know, of course what's interesting is, you know, like as I was saying, inciting the coup. Here, I got to get the screen off for a minute so I can flip it around, because I didn't get this image pulled up.
Oh, I know
It
what
was,
you're pulling up. Yeah.
yeah, he posts on Truth Social, of
Yeah.
course, you know, his own private little Twitter platform, his own safe space,
Yeah.
you might say. Yeah, I found it just for searching this. I figured it must be amongst the top searches. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Open image in new tab.
Duh.
All right, here we go. Okay. So page 2. This is probably part 2 of an ongoing tweet, but this was the one that really kind of like showed the importance here. Like, you know, right after getting in, no trouble at all for inciting a coup, why wouldn't he try and do it again, right? Now illegal leaks from corrupt and highly political Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which has allowed new records to be sent in violent crime and whose leader is funded by George Soros. I can't believe he's still on that one.
Dog whistle.
Indicate that with no crime being able to be proven, no crime, no collusion, and based on an old and fully debunked by numerous other prosecutors fairy tale, the far and away leading Republican candidate and former president of the United States of America would be arrested on Tuesday of next week. Protests, take our nation back. Of course, he had to use that kind of phrasing, right?
Yeah.
Take our nation back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, he's trying to incite violence again because, like, he wasn't. He hasn't seen any repercussions
Yeah.
from the first
It,
time,
like,
and so
the-
why wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much of like this aspect to like the Trump kind of cult that loves that about him. Like loves the fact that he can keep doing insanely corrupt and illegal things,
Yeah.
and just keep doing it without any shame. Oh, he's such a boss. Look at him go.
No.
He's such a boss that the libs can't stop him from doing all this illegal stuff.
Like, I understand that we are in a very unprecedented situation where the U.S. president, ex-U.S., well, previously current and now ex-U.S. president is just, you know, doing some wildly insane and illegal shit. And the U.S. justice system was not set up to deal with someone who doesn't play by any sort of rules of what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, I mean, like, they have laws against being a traitor, right?
Yeah,
like, they
but
had some mechanism in place. I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
What was like if you borrow something, you're working on the honesty thing.
What is like the honor system?
The honor system, Jesus Christ! Like so
the
much
honesty thing. I like that. That was
right.
good.
I was getting there. Fuck.
Good. The honesty thing.
But yeah, like so much of the U.S. political system relies upon people acting in good faith or working within the honor system, so that when that breaks down, as it has been spectacularly, no one knows what the fuck to do about it.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, previously, if someone did shit like this, then you would get them to resign, and they would.
Yeah.
But now, like, you've got George Santos.
Yeah.
Who will not resign.
We got to do a bit on George Santos because
we need to prepare for it because
that could be a full freaking episode
yeah.
to itself. This guy, like, you know the I was thinking about this just the other day in regards to Santos. The Catch Me If You Can guy.
Yeah.
Like, of course, like if you actually like read into his story at all, half the things that he claimed in his autobiography were like completely made up. Like,
what?
He was not a good as a con artist as that story and movie would have you believe.
You mean the con artist lied
about his
accomplishments?
Con artist accomplishments? Yeah,
what?
He mostly just wrote bad checks as a teenager. That was mostly what he did. He pretended to be a pilot on some occasions, but not to nearly the kind of fantastical level that you see in the movie. He just liked to dress up like a pilot to impress girls. That was kind of his thing. And then he ended up weaseling his way into having like this high-end, security firm because he's such an expert on being a con artist and made a legitimate living that way. An amazing story. But I feel like it became an amazing story just because like the twisted level of con artistry that was happening wasn't as good as we were led to believe, but it also
at the same time
being good.
Makes it better than we believed because he made us believe the things that we didn't.
It's not as Hollywood fun, but he seems to he got away with something there. Yeah, that's for sure.
Galaxy brain
but
shit. But
George Santos, holy
fuck.
Shit. This guy's taken being a bold ass con artist to a whole new level. I don't think we've seen this level of public level of just con artistry since Ponzi himself. Like the original Ponzi scheme. Why we call it a Ponzi scheme. Read about, I think his first name was Charles Ponzi. Read about this guy. Even look up at his picture. As soon as you see a picture of this guy, you're just like, oh my God, that is the most con artist motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. But to read his story, I can't believe that's not a movie because it's hilarious how far he took that and got away with it. Yeah, we should do a whole bit relating Ponzi to Santos.
Well, I think
it could be amazing.
I think that we need to basically talk about in depth the issue of not knowing what to do with these people when you can't be shamed into resigning, and no one has the guts to like eject them and arrest them for fraud in any kind of timely manner. Then we need to figure out what to do about that. So that's an entire topic that we can.
That's not what I want. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this is the picture I was looking for. Like, just look at this guy, right? So this is what I mean. It's so funny. Like, you look at that guy and tell me that's not a grifter. That he is the model grifter. He is Ponzi, right? Yeah. Like he had reportedly said when he was caught, he tried to claim, I don't think legitimately, I think he was trying to be funny, but it was still like a pretty good line where he was like, the people in this town owe me a debt of gratitude. I put on the greatest scheme they ever seen. It was such a spectacle and a show. It's the world's finest entertainment what I did. That was his defense. Just amazing stuff. So, and again, like I got to relate it to George Santos there because it's just like, I feel like if he ever really got held down and pinned out, that would be his line. It'd be like, yeah, but it was great though. Look at it, look at all that stuff.
Or like,
I got away
I'm
with.
Just trying to like, show
fun?
you the holes in the system. I just this is all, And turns out he's
Yeah.
Andy.
And again, like relating it to Trump too. I would kind of put it along the same lines. Like this guy right here would probably say a similar line.
Yeah.
Like, you know, oh, I'm a traitor. I gave you the greatest president. I was the entertainment president. I was the pizzazz president. I was the make America great again president. You know, yeah.
You don't even need to surmise. Like that's pretty much exactly.
That's exactly what he would be like.
It's going to be like.
Yeah. Well, one can only hope. I made a video on TikTok talking about this. And basically saying, you know, we've beat around this bush enough times already. Like the obviously illegal things that Trump has done, and he's not in jail yet. Yeah. I'm still doubting it. I won't believe it till I see it. All these news organizations can say this. Trump himself can be worried. If this guy is arrested, and not only arrested, but actually put in handcuffs, I will be legitimately shocked. Still, even after all this news, I will be legitimately surprised.
100%. I
don't know how you guys feel about that. Let me know in the chat if you think this guy for real is going to get arrested. I doubt it. I doubt it. I still don't see it happening.
Yeah, like happy to be proven wrong, but like please prove us wrong.
Yeah. Like I have a feeling like even if he is like arrested, it's not going to be like an official arrest. It's more going to be like, come with us for questioning. That's what they'll call it. You know what I mean? Like it'll be something like that. It won't be an arrest. I don't know. I'm being totally I don't know, just suppositive. I don't know. I'm forgetting the word, but
words are hard tonight. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm tired. But yeah, I speculative. Yeah, there we go. I'm being very speculative, but yeah,
pessimistic.
Pessimistically speculative.
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds
like look how long it took us to get those words.
Pessimistically speculative.
Yeah.
I don't believe he will be arrested. Jessica says. Yeah. Thank you. I just. I'll be surprised. I mean, I hope, but I'll still be surprised.
Yeah.
Okay. This is precious.
Yeah.
You know, to my American viewers and friends out there, we talk a lot about your billionaires. We talk a lot of shit about your billionaires because they have that international kind of attention. You got your Elon Musks and your George Soroses and all that. Oh, excuse me. Even though, like, if only there was as many conspiracy theories about guys like Elon Musk as there was George Soros.
I mean, there should be. Look at how many pots he has his hands into.
Yeah.
Like come on.
Like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, George Soros, like, he's bad because he's a billionaire. Like, just virtue of having billions of dollars is bad. I don't know if he's, like, throwing his money into really seedy shit or not. But you know who obviously is really seedy is Elon.
Yeah.
And sort of in a way, our own super annoying trust fund baby billionaire boy, Galen Weston, who's in charge of the basically the Loblaws empire, I guess you could say, that was passed down to him from daddy. Is his own a problem in itself. Maybe not as big a problem as his American counterparts, but he's problematic for all the same reasons, I guess you could say. It's impossible that grocers are causing food inflation, Loblaws chairman tells MPs. MPs are members of parliament for my good friends. I hope they know that by now, but you know. Yeah, Loblaws is a big grocery chain. They own other grocery chains as well. Loblaws is kind of the flagship brand of that. They have, like, you know, No Frills, which is a discount grocery store. And yeah, food prices have risen something like 10 to 11% on average. Some items more than others, but that's the average increase. When inflation has not gone up by that much. Inflation has been more like 5-6%, something like that. And so the profits versus what inflation says those profits should be, there seems to be a bit of disconnect there. It's put a lot of strain on Canadian wallets. So leaders of the grocery industry were basically called in front of members of parliament in a committee to answer some questions and get some transparency out there about what is happening with these food prices.
Transparency. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, like even, and I'm going to point out problems with this too. Like even, I feel like American politics are a little bit better at this. Like when you're getting like leaders of industry called forth, and you're going to put them under the gun and roast them a bit. Generally, what I would see from Americans doing this, they're a lot better at it than Canadians, even though you would think the opposite. Or you would like to think that there is not as much corruption and stuff like that. But like, you know, a lot of people have criticisms of Jagmeet Singh, understandably so. You know, he's been kind of a daylight and a dollar short on a lot of issues. As much as I do like him, and I have voted for him in the past, I prefer him to Justin Trudeau by a long shot. But I think, like, as much as he's trying to put the pressure on here, I feel like he misses the mark a little bit. Let's watch this exchange here.
Sure. I want to set the stage. My question goes directly to Mr. Weston. Right now, we're not just going through unprecedented period of cost of living crisis. We have families going into your stores, looking at the price of items, looking at them and putting them back because they can't afford them. We have families that are struggling to buy food for their kids in this country, in a G7 country. And they look at you and they see you making record profits. How can you justify that when families are struggling to put food on the table for their kids?
Thank you. You know, we feel and understand that 95% of Canadians are concerned about food prices. But grocery chain profits are not the reason for food inflation. And as I mentioned,
profit is too much profit.
It's like
Weasley cunt. Like,
see, this is the thing. This is the thing about the transparency is like he gets away here with playing with language a lot in this way, and nobody holds him to account for, you know, our profits aren't the reason for inflation, but somehow inflation has led to increased profits for you, right? There's a discrepancy there that is failing to be accurately addressed because he's kind of dancing around the language this way.
oh, he's doing the mambo and limbo dancing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fucking-
and it should be obvious to somebody like Jugmeat.
so a company needs some degree of profit.
Record profits more than you've ever
Mr.
made.
Singh,
Ever?
Mr. Singh, I'm going to stop you there. Of course, your time is your time, and I can appreciate that. But we've invited, in fact, we summoned these witnesses to come here. You ask a question. Every member of this committee is expected to be able to hear the response.
Can't
so
I,
I
Cody?
need you to certainly be a little bit more mindful of making sure.
He's
that is,
just
I know
the
it's your time.
referee.
I'll give you that
Nah.
discretion.
Cut him some
But please don't
slack.
cross
He's
lines here.
doing
So
his best.
Damn it, ref.
How much profit is too much profit? You're making more money than you've ever made. How much profit is too much profit?
We're a big company and the numbers are very large, but it still translates right down to the bottom line at $1 per $25 of groceries. And if you consider our growth in profit in 2022 is 25 times lower than the unprecedented increases in costs that are being faced by the industry and by the world. And the fact that we have lower...
Like, I would have liked to get
See,
into
there's-
those numbers a little
yeah,
bit more.
like-
What's that about? I don't completely understand what he's
Like, what does
like.
that
Those
mean?
are 25% lower than what?
Then
like,
what?
it's-
Then
it-
literally, then what?
Yeah, like there's something a little fishy about his language there, but I can't quite decipher.
Well, it's because you don't know what he's referencing.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
like he has charts.
What is
It's not
this
like
in
he
reference
has-
to? Like, what is
Yeah.
this data that he's speaking to?
Yeah, like.
But again,
saying that this isn't
nobody's
high
like
compared
holding
to
them
what?
to account to that. Like, hey, dude, what are you talking about? Let's get specific here.
Mm-hmm.
The devil is in the details, you know.
But Cody just shut down Jagmeet from trying to
Yeah.
clarify.
But that should be a follow up question, right? But it doesn't seem to quite get there.
Mm-hmm.
Food price inflation in Canada than in so many other parts of the world is in part due to the high functioning of our food system here, and in part to the meaningful effort that is being made by the grocery store industry to keep prices as low as possible.
With respect, Mr. Weston, you mentioned this.
See, like, what does like meaningful effort
Yeah.
mean? Like, what is this meaningful effort? What does that entail?
To
We
keep
are
them-
making a meaningful effort. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Do you sit around the table at the executives and really like hash out the numbers and try and see what items are most important for families to buy and what you can do to lower profitability on those? Like maybe take a hit in one sector so you can make money in others. You know, that sort of thing. They don't really get into the nitty gritty like that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of this questioning, it wasn't as fruitful as it could have been.
It's fluff.
$1 per grocery bit. We can put a factor in front of you. Your company is making $1 million a day in excess profits. No one feels sorry for your profit margin when you're making $1 million, not just in profit, in excess profit a day at the same time that Canadians are experiencing the most unprecedented inflation in their lives. How can you look a family in the eyes and tell them that that's...
And again, that comes in direct contradiction to what he was saying before. Oh, are 25% lower, you know, against what? But also, as Jagmeet points out here, he's making $1 million extra a day. And basically what that's referring to is from this article that I sourced the video from in the National Post here. Loblaws gross profit in the first half of 2022 beat its previous best results by $180 million, equivalent to about an extra $1 million a day, the research found. That's what that's in reference to. There's actual reference to that data to back that up, but still that 25 times lower thing, I don't know what he's talking about.
It's okay. What you're doing is okay.
I had a conversation with a customer in a store just the other day. She came to me and she said something similar. She said, how can you have such exorbitant profits? And I sat down, I didn't sit down with her, but we chatted for about 15 minutes, and I explained, what I'm explaining here to the committee, and she understood. And she said, okay, I didn't realize that. That's not the way it's being characterized.
Okay.
When I
A,
read
doubt
the
that
mail
he
or
was
whatever.
in an actual fucking grocery
Yeah,
store.
that
Like
didn't happen.
he goes and gets his own
That didn't
groceries.
happen.
And like
That conversation didn't
and like
take
he's
place.
having a conversation with someone who's like, "Oh, okay. So this is why I need to put all this food back on the shelf. So that's cool. You gave me a solid explanation in like 15 minutes. Give me a fucking break. Like,
You stood there and talked to this lady for 15 minutes.
there'd be a fucking
Like-
crowd by then.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you would be
There'd
lynched by then.
people like surrounding
Like,
him asking him more
Give
questions.
me a fucking break. That didn't happen. That did not happen.
Yeah. He was able to explain it all like in the 15 minutes. What I would feel like, okay, let's suppose this conversation actually took place, right? What I would feel like as this woman questioned him, and then he feeds you that spoonful of bullshit, where I would pretend to understand. I'd be like, yeah, okay, bud, whatever, because if I don't pretend to understand the bullshit you're feeding me right now, I am going to bludgeon you to death with this can of soup.
Oh, I would just.
That's what's going to happen.
I would have just. I would have mugged him and started shoplifting in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Like, Jesus Christ.
No.
She understood.
And then when I had security haul her away and rough her up in the parking lot, she was very understanding of that as well.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
She held his attention.
Well,
for
that's how you
15
know none of this story is true, right? Like,
Yeah.
I sat down with her. Well, I didn't sit down with her for 15 minutes.
Okay, so
and it's
15
just like,
seconds.
This didn't
okay, so
happen.
this didn't actually happen.
Yeah,
Like, fuck outta here.
there's no friggin' way. All right.
when I read the Toronto Star, and I said, yeah, I said, look, all I can tell you is that this is the truth. This is what's going on, and if we invested, if we didn't raise retail prices as costs went up, the companies that we operate would disappear almost instantly.
Good.
And that's
Yes,
why
let's
this
nationalize.
point about low
Yeah.
profit
Tear 'em
margins
down.
is so important. 100%
Fail
of
to
the
see the
total
issue.
profit of the industry could go into lower food prices, and the price of a grocery basket for that customer who I spoke to would still be $24. And that's
how do you
not to
square
say
that?
it's not important.
Shut the fuck
but
up.
But our ability
No.
to affect this change is limited. That's
No,
why
it's
we
not.
need all to
How
work
do you square
together.
that? How do you square what you're saying with the fact that you're experiencing unprecedented profits while people are struggling? How do you square that with the record bonuses that you and your colleagues are receiving? How do you square that with the excess profits that you're making per day? How do you square that with the record profits you're making year over year? How do you square that? It doesn't add up. Mr. Weston, I've got more than 2,000 people who submitted questions saying we are struggling while you're making these record profits. That explanation does not give any solace to the people that I've heard from at all.
Well, I understand how difficult it is for
No, you
so
don't.
many Canadians, and that's
You
why
have no fucking idea.
You're like,
you fucking
This
silver
dude
spoon
was
asshole.
born into billions of dollars. He has no idea.
Yeah, tell me about I'll tell you about this fucking guy. So his family has a cottage up in Georgian Bay,
yeah.
and so when we say cottage, it's a mansion out on the water,
Yeah.
and couple $1 million building, and I know someone who is working construction on it, and they had the interior lined with wood fur. But the load that came in, too many of the pieces had a little blue tint, and so they just discarded them. To get fur, like not just trim, but like the walls lined with fur. Like just fucking maddening. And so this motherfucker is gonna try and tell us that, like, he's eating gruel and he's down with the, regular dude.
Yeah, I understand.
Fuck you.
The
You
struggle
don't
of the average
understand
Canadian.
shit.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to my mansion on the lake.
And my walk-in humidor.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. That actually reminds me of a fun little story about a high-end retail establishment called Club Monaco. I was working for a construction company that was building a Club Monaco in a mall. Turned out to be a nightmare of a project for the company. We had to tear up the floor that was made of rare African wood. I don't think it was ebony, but it was a very dark and dense colored wood. Because of the inconsistency in the grains, they ended up spending like an extra $10,000 or something to have us redo the floor, and redo some of the wood so the grains in it looked more aesthetically pleasing or something like that. That was a Club Monaco, like, the sort of store where, like something like a shirt that costs like 50 cents to make overseas costs, $100 there, that sort of thing. Just like there's so many things about this capitalist system that are so broken, and these people are so high on themselves, right?
Yep.
That they're like, well, our business has to charge reasonable profits. We can't be in business without reasonable profits.
No.
Ignoring the fact that they just millions of dollars pouring in and being completely removed and detached from the struggle of somebody who can't afford, who's literally putting something back on the grocery store shelf, food, because they can't afford it. Mm-hmm. You can't say, this motherfucker can't tell me that it's like, I understand this must be difficult.
No, you don't. You've never put something back on a grocery fucking shelf in your life.
You understand that you're being questioned. I think. I think you understand that. But to say you understand the struggle of the average Canadian, no, you obviously don't. Here, let's get this playing again. Oop. It's the problem with having two computers in front of me. I'm grabbing the wrong mouse. All right. I don't
We're
know why this
taking
have to
decisive
buffer every
action
time.
within the constraints of what we're actually able to influence. We stopped $500 million of unjustified cost increases, in our organization.
didn't.
We offer the lowest prices in the market in our discount stores like No Frills and Maxi. No Frills is recognized as having the most trusted prices
so
in the
if
country.
you,
We ad match.
Okay,
if
so-
you don't have a no frills by you, then you can just like suffer and die.
Yeah. What if you don't live close to a nose frill? And
Yeah.
okay, we have the most trusted food prices in the country. That doesn't make the food prices in general like fair and good, right? It's just they happen to have the most fair. That still
Yeah.
isn't a good threshold,
Yeah,
right?
because like we haven't forgot about the bread price fixing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And everybody got $25 gift cards.
Yeah,
They're supposed to
so,
make us
like-
happy for price fixing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
So
on.
like we're supposed to believe that started and ended with bread.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, they're bad. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're basically the entire grocery store industry in this country is controlled by only a few companies. Like you only need half a dozen people in a room together to fix prices.
Yeah.
In this country, it does not take much. You don't need a wide, shadowy network that is tightly controlled to make this happen. It's a few people, and yeah, so to say, we have the most trusted food prices at our discount chain. Again, it's kind of like a false narrative, right? Like to say, oh, well, it's the lowest doesn't mean it's fairer or it's good. It
No.
just happens to be the lowest.
In our large store formats on every single ad that is available in the market, so that customers don't have to shop around from one store to another to make sure they
Weston,
get the best
that-
value.
that doesn't
we are
fix the
actively
problem.
losing money
That
on
doesn't
core
fix the problem.
commodities, milk, vegetable oil, butter, certain cheeses, and all kinds of items in every day of the week. So we are working hard on behalf of Canadians.
You've still not been able to answer this basic question. Then when a family that's struggling right now looks at your profit, how much profit is too much profit? How much is enough? Like you're making more than you've ever made ever. And you've not contradicted that point because we know it's true.
Yeah.
How much profit is too much profit? At a time like this, when Canadians literally are saying that they are struggling, how much is too much then? Like for you, is there no limit to how much profit you can make? That on the backs of Canadians that are struggling because they can't afford the groceries, there's no limit?
Reasonable profitability is an important part of operating a successful business. I think at $1
Reasonable
out of $25 of sales, that's reasonable profitability, and it's worth
No, it's
mentioning.
not. Shut
Big
the fuck up.
numbers. In large enterprises like ours,
big-
let's
How
say
can you
our
keep track of their
profit,
big numbers?
was in and around $1.9 billion last year. Very big number. Over $2 billion is going to be reinvested back in this country,
Last
back
question for
into
you.
supermarket or back into new stores, new infrastructure, to creating jobs.
Want me to pause
It's
it?
not just
Yeah, pause it. It's not being reinvested into worker wages.
Yeah.
Like, how long after COVID did they
They're
pull back that
heroes.
shift? Yeah. Did they bring back that
Heroes.
shift premium? Like, yeah, no, you've got people working on starvation wages, and then the people at your own grocery stores who work there can't afford the groceries at your grocery stores. So,
Yeah.
like, get the fuck out of here. You're reinvesting. What the fuck does that mean? Like,
Well,
functionally for
reinvesting means it's not claimed
stock
as
buybacks.
profit. It's not claimed as profits, therefore it doesn't have to be taxed as profits.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
It means stock buybacks.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
reinvesting back into his bonuses.
Yeah,
That's-
reinvesting into like real estate speculation and
Yeah.
shoppers and getting into privatized healthcare.
And like the thing is here, what is it? Looking at this, for example, the problem is it's kind of like bigger or multifaceted in the sense of we can't depend on these guys and getting asked a few tough questions and looking a little awkward to change their ways.
No.
Right? Like they're not going to do it. He could have been completely flogged and embarrassed here, right?
Yeah.
Completely tarred and feathered and made a fool of.
Mm-hmm.
That could happen. And we could all be like laughing and go, "Oh, look at this stupid billionaire." Guess what he's going to do tomorrow though? The same thing he did yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to change a goddamn thing. So what I would like to see the questioning at that point turn to is, to the government and the people who are actually in charge going, what are you going to do to regulate this?
Yeah.
Right? Because if these companies are still profiting and making record profits, and essentially profiting off it, they can justify it any way they want. They can say, oh, the supply chain and all this. They could justify their price increases so much. It does not justify their profit increases, right?
No.
So, in an effort to justify it, like representatives from Loblaws, I think this is the chief financial officer who is saying this in reference to this Global News article. But saying Canada's biggest grocer is arguing that food inflation has not driven up profits, pointing instead to strong demand for pharmacy and cosmetics products.
Yeah, I've noticed
you're-
that my pharmacy and cosmetics have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
And I don't have an issue trying to put food in my grocery basket. Fuck off.
Yeah. Like, and so, okay, let's suppose that's true. Let's just take that at complete face value. It's still some bullshit, right? So your company is able to make so much off of pharmacy and cosmetics products that it increased your profits by this astronomical degree that you didn't find it at all ethical to take some of that and curb the price of food, maybe bite the bullet a little bit, maybe take a little bit of a loss on certain food items.
Yeah.
It's not going to ruin your company, obviously. You're still going to be immensely profitable.
Yeah. But no, if they did that, then they would all shut down overnight.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
overnight,
these
they'd be
companies
all
would just
gone.
cease to exist.
Overnight.
Just like that.
Yeah. If there's no excess profits,
And
then did you notice
And
that
again,
that
we
was
can't expect their goodwill to do this, right?
No, did you notice this little threat in there?
Yeah.
It's like if we can't make
yeah.
money, we'll go away.
Yeah.
You'll starve.
Yeah. If you don't want to pay our exuberant prices for food, then no food for you.
Yeah.
Is the kind of the subtle underlying thing there,
So-
and that's what keeps a lot of these people in line. Like when I argue with capitalist simps, right, and I try and point out these kind of problems with greed and stuff, and they in their gear start turning to try and defend the system. Because that's what they're more or less propagandized to do. That's where their brain goes. It's like, well, if company gone, I get no food. Therefore, company must stay.
Therefore,
And-
nationalize the industry.
Fucking nationalize them. And this is what I mean, like about government regulation and stuff. We cannot depend on their goodwill. Even
No.
with they can sit there and say, "Oh, our increased profits aren't because of food inflation. It's because you're buying so much other stuff that you also need." And it's like they'll say this with zero sense of irony, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're not gouging on the food. It's actually the pharmaceuticals where we're really getting you. Yeah.
I know everyone's
anyway.
been sick for a few years, so we've had to switch the profit model over to charging you through the nose for neocitrin and
come
aspirin.
on, you know, it's insane.
Yeah.
That they can say that and somehow people buy it as a reasonable explanation. So it goes to like we got to put pressure on our public officials to.
Speaking of putting pressure on
to
public
do
officials,
something about this.
let's talk about France.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you want to talk about the France for a minute?
I do. I do not wish to look at this visage any longer. Just fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So France, God bless him. You feisty bastards. So their president has just pushed through an extremely unpopular law to basically change the retirement age from 62 to 64. Yeah. And so France said, fuck your own face. And so they've gone on strike and they've had protests and they've had riots and there's like 10,000 tons of trash in the streets of Paris because the garbage workers went on strike in support of rolling back that pension change.
Yeah.
Because in France, they don't fucking take kindly to you fucking with their benefits. Like, I have so much respect for that.
Yeah. French President Emmanuel Macron faces a critical test on Monday when the National Assembly is due to examine no-confidence motions filed after his government bypassed Parliament on Thursday to push through a deeply unpopular pension reform, sparking days of unrest. I remember everybody kind of like praising when Macron got elected. And I guess it's sort of a good thing because the alternative was like the fascist lady, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But, these neoliberal guys are essentially kind of fascist adjacent. They're the slow burn of fascism, right?
But here's the thing. Here's the beautiful, beautiful thing. If you have to vote for the lesser evil, when they do stupid shit, you can just fucking tear the entire thing down anyways, right?
Look at the worker solidarity that these people have.
It's beautiful.
As much as you there's a lot of problems with the French system. There's a lot of criticisms to be made about colonization and where they sit in global politics and all this sort of stuff. But when you're talking about the unity and recognition of worker power amongst the French people, they got their shit together, man.
Fucking A. Yeah. Mad respect. Respect.
Yeah.
So we should be doing more of that, particularly because let's go over to the bank failures last week.
Yeah.
So the Silicon Valley Bank just fucked off and imploded and closed over the last weekend. So full disclosure, I'm not a financial person. I don't understand a lot of these terms and stuff. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm any kind of an expert. But what I will say is that stuff like this, I've been reading for ages this book on the Great Crash by this author. I can't remember the name off the top of my head because I'm a silly person, didn't look at it before this. And the parallels between, I know people want to say the 2008 crash, but not just that, but also the 1929 crash, the Great Crash. The parallels are stunning, and all of it has to do with deregulation and people. And by people, I mean financial institutions, banks, making these ridiculous policy changes and just basically being able to gamble with the markets, get to gamble with the stock market. That's effectively what this comes down to. And so after the 1929 crash, there were banking regulations that were put into place to try to prevent that from happening again. But then we removed them.
Yeah, let's not forget what just happened in Ohio with the train crash. Or that was Ohio, right? Am I getting that right? I feel like
one of.
The real bad one. And I wish I had the video queued up actually for this. When he is talking about how he cut those regulations, and the fact that these pro-Trump guys, these MAGA guys, thinks somehow this guy is on the side of the working class and in the interest of the average American, when he was literally on video saying something like, all my friends who are super rich and own these banks and very nice businesses, they run such good businesses. These regulations were so unfair, it was hurting them. So I got rid of them all. I did my close personal rich friends a close personal favor and cut regulations that protect the average person from their greed. And I made America great again. He didn't literally say that, but that was more or less what he said. He literally did say, friends of mine who run these very nice businesses were being hurt by these regulations, so I got rid of them. And no, working class MAGA person gets that thing in their head hey, he's doing special favors for those elites that I apparently hate so much. No bells rung for these people. Kind of weird. But yeah, there's video of him literally admitting this. And sure, Biden isn't doing anything adequate to fix the problem.
No.
But,
And that is one of the fucking frustrating things is yes, I get that Trump removed those regulations, and yeah, I get Biden hasn't been around for that long, but fuck, you gotta fix things quicker.
Yeah. He's been around long enough. How long has he been president now?
2 years?
2 years.
Over 2 years. He's been in office
that's we're at the halfway point, folks.
Yeah.
If he was going to do something, I feel like he would have done it.
Well, just, speed up. Like,
Yeah.
I get, okay, he's done a lot of good things, a lot of things, and a lot of
Half-ass.
But
Yeah.
do more.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like he didn't, what's the word I'm looking for? Roe versus Wade? He didn't enmesh
Yeah.
it. He didn't,
Veto or
No, he didn't.
executive thing.
He didn't protect it.
Oh, yeah,
basically.
yeah,
There's a word that I cannot think
Yeah,
of.
they basically
because I'm
thought,
having
it's protected. It's fine. We're not going to worry about it. Well, they've let the Republicans, stack the judiciary and all that, and the Supreme Court. And,
Well, and that's the thing too that I would circle back. I'd like to circle back around to that. I would like to really hammer down on about.
oh no! Sorry.
None of these people are acting in good faith, and none of these people have any shame. And actually, I think what you should do now, that video that I sent you.
Yeah, that's literally what I'm doing.
Okay, perfect.
So
this
to cap
video-
off the episode, we're going to put it. This is going to wrap things up and put things in a bit of a clear picture about who the enemy of everything we've been talking about, almost collectively on the show in its entirety, but especially over the past couple weeks in particular.
But also, why just shaming them isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Because they're not concerned about your shame. They are
Yeah.
not concerned about your feelings or about you liking
If
them.
they had a sense of shame, they would have done something differently by now, right? Like it's.
But this isn't about that. This is
old,
about more.
Now his name is escaping, but the civil rights activist. In order for, argument and debate and ethics of that kind to actually work and function, your opponent must have a conscience, and America has none.
Yeah.
America has no conscience, so therefore you cannot expect it to act on its conscience.
Yep.
It just simply is non-existent.
No.
So I'm going to throw up this video here. Let's see if I can make it full screen. I don't know if it will let me.
Not a doctor.
Okay. Well, either way. Pretty big account, the Conscious Lee on Instagram. He has over 300,000 followers. I think I know him from TikTok more, and
so,
this is a repost of a TikTok.
Yeah, so he doesn't actually speak in this. He is just
he's just reposting. Yeah.
Well, he's just trying to increase visibility.
Signal
of
boost.
This.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play this video,
and I'm gonna be without comment while this plays.
Yeah. I'm just gonna let this play out. Hopefully I don't feel prompted to pause it. I might. But take this in for a minute. This is pretty well researched, and she cites her work and stuff like that. And just really consider, again, some of the organizations we've been talking about, some of the forces at work. You're talking like Daily Wire and Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro and all those guys, and the culture war that they're waging, and how much we've been talking about trans rights and those laws that have been put into place, Roe versus Wade, the election of Trump. Just consider all of it.
Is the scariest Christian nationalist group you've never heard of. Buckle the fuck up. For over a year now, I've been investigating who is behind all of the anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ+, anti-women, anti-BIPOC bills and laws that are being passed in this country. And I've told you about the Alliance Defending Freedom, the ADF, who is behind a lot of the bills. But if they are a henchman, the Council for National Policy is the fucking mob boss. Let me tell you about them. The New York Times describes the CNP as a little-known club of a few hundred of the most powerful conservatives in the country who meet 3 times a year behind closed doors at undisclosed locations for a confidential conference. They are so secretive that you can only attend with the unanimous approval of executive committee, and members are instructed to not even refer to the organization by name like it's fucking Fight Club. And because reality is stranger than fiction, they were founded in 1981 by the author of the Left Behind series, Tim LaHaye. To tell you more about them, we need to go back in the past. We have to go all the way back to 1845 when the Southern Baptist Convention was started. The Southern Baptists were created because they branched away from Baptists over slavery. Southern Baptists supported slavery. The Southern Baptist Convention remained apart from other Protestant denominations during the war, and in 1962, the Supreme Court ended public school prayer. Now they are mad. It's at this time that the Southern Baptists realized that with the shifting demographic of America, that they might be irrelevant very soon. They could not have it that way. So the Southern Baptist Church plotted to get into politics. And in 1979, Southern Baptist preacher Jerry Falwell, who was for segregation, he was vehemently opposed to racial integration in academy, he decided to convene a meeting with some other pastors as well as Republican operative Paul Weyrich, who co-founded the Heritage Foundation, and Falwell, Weyrich, Pat Robinson, Tim LaHaye, the author of the frickin' Left Behind series, and presidential Ronald Reagan, got...
I just gotta say, I love how she says the frickin' Left Behind series. If you're not familiar with Left Behind, it's really like a goofy sort of sci-fi teen drama, but it's based on the events of Revelations actually happening, and it's kind of like a young adult thriller sort of thing.
Got together.
It's very funny.
They started a little 501c3 organization called the Council for National Policy, which is now a network of evangelicals, oil barons, gun lobbyists, and Republican operatives working to dismantle the social safety net and civil liberties that we have today. And some of its more prominent members today include the Koch brothers and the DeVos family. Leaders of this group have included Tony Perkins, the head of the LGBT-bashing Family Research Council, who was vice president for a year and is still on its board of governors. Tony Perkins, who once claimed that gay people recruit children and secretly published a mailing list for a candidate he was managing from former Klan leader David Duke. Also on the CNP's board of governors is Michael Perotka. Perotka was for many years on the board of the League of the South, a neo-Confederate hate group that advocates for a newly secluded South ruled by white people. Another board member is Matt Staver, leader of the anti-LGBT Liberty Council, who has worked for the recriminalization of homosexuality and calls the Boy Scouts a playground for child abusers. He likened
and it's funny to think that the Boy Scouts being a playground for child abusers, the Boy Scouts in the Mormon Church and Christian organizations, highly tied in there. A little bit of a weird confession wrapped up in that.
LGBT activists to terrorists. And there's Alan Sears, the founder of, oh look, Alliance Defending Freedom, the AD-fucking-F. The entire group seeks a fusion of fundamentalist theology with American civic life. They believe that this country was founded for Christians like them, generally natural-born.
Almost like the entire ethos that Matt Walsh has been on about. Yeah, interesting.
Almost like Margaret Atwood.
Word for word.
Is Nostradamus, and we got Galilee.
I'm not sure if she's gotten to the part where she mentions the Heritage Foundation in all of this yet.
Oh,
I think she did when she was talking about. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did mention that part. I wanted to highlight the Heritage Foundation in particular because, they're one of the big groups that does fund and gave the Upstart money and continues to fund groups like Turning Points USA, the Daily Wire, David Rubin, his show and podcast. That's all Koch brothers Heritage Fund money. It's not that these people have millions of viewers because they earned these fans through their great entertainment. Okay,
citizens and white. This group owns media outlets. You might recognize this CNP member, Charlie Kirk, who runs something called Turning Point USA. The Daily Caller is also owned by members of the Council for National Policy, and so is Breitbart. Guess what other organization is a part of the CNP? The fucking National Rifle Association, the NRA. The Seven Mountains Mandates, ADF, Moms of Liberty, ALEC, they are all arms of this fucking monster, the CNP. They backed Ted Cruz on his presidential run because his dad, Rafael Cruz, was one of the founding fucking members.
And that somehow wasn't embarrassing enough for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like even these people didn't look at Rafael Cruz and his son and be like, bruh, nah, man, nobody's gonna like this guy. They did it anyway.
Amy Coney Barrett, Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Ted Cruz, they've all been speakers at CNP conferences. You know, those secret conferences that...
Oh, the deep state. when Donald Trump is talking about the deep state, it's again like that comment I was trying to highlight. Every Republican accusation is a confession.
Yeah.
They are the deep state, folks. That is the deep state. When you're talking about shadow governments and secret dark money and political influence being pushed upon people, look no fucking further.
Oh, Jessica.
They're not even allowed to say that.
Oh, yeah. And yes, we were looking for the word codifying, by the way. Thank you, Jessica.
Wade. Thank you so much.
Our brains are high functioning on this show tonight.
Dang name of, or even disclose where they're having it. Yeah. All this time, the Republicans talking about how there's a shadowy government. It was them all the fucking time. The CNP, the
I didn't realize she literally said that in this video. I don't think I actually watched the end
Council
of it
for National Policy. Remember that name. Notice it when it pops up in articles or on news stations, because that is the organization that is behind all of the shit that is trying to turn America into a white supremacist, Christian nationalist, fascist shithole. The CNP.
All right,
So,
there
okay.
it is.
So one quick thing I want to address. Just that how in the U.S. everything seems to be accelerating simultaneously in so many states right now. It's because they're organized.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence.
And
They're all organized.
and the organization is pushed by money, right?
Yeah.
Like this sort of organizing doesn't happen because everybody in the organizational ladder is keen on being twisted and evil, right? They're keen on getting their money. They're keen on justifying their money. Like I like to cite a NoFX song. I always forget the name of the song, but it's on the album War on Errorism. And the line goes, because Danny had a mortgage and a boss to answer to, the guilty don't feel guilty, they learn not to. And I think that is just entirely it. It isn't like the entire, when you're talking about these shadowy organizations, you're talking about just a lot of average working people trying to get their paycheck and not understanding the greater mechanism they're even a part of, right? And that's what makes this really tough.
Well, and also, if you reach the right trigger point for them, of like, oh, we must protect the children. Oh, our religious beliefs are under attack. Oh, our way of life is under attack. If you get people to be concerned about protecting things that are important to them, then yeah, you can justify all sorts of heinous behavior and get them to participate, apparently. So.
Okay. And just to end the show on a fun note, I want to show this little clip. I posted it on my Facebook. So, Jessica, you probably have seen this already, but it's such a great clip that shows the problem with these people and shows, here. This woman in all her, she's behind the moneyed interest. I'm sure she wrote an entire freaking book on this subject of how wokeness is bad. This woman has been around in the conservative circle for a while. I've seen some tweets from her from years ago that people are sharing around now of some of her big fails over the years. But yeah,
Americans consider themselves very liberal.
So yeah, anyway, as I note in the caption here, I'm not a huge fan of Brianna Joy Gray. Like she's on the left, but she's kind of that almost Jimmy Dore-esque fake left sometimes, and I don't really trust her for a lot of reasons. But she does a good job in here, just asking a very simple, straightforward question. So let's pull this up. This is author Bethany Mandel. She wrote a book on why wokeism is bad. Here we go.
Americans consider themselves very liberal, and probably fewer of them consider themselves to be woke. And so, when we talk about traditional,
what does that mean to you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean,
Oh, you got
woke
that.
is
You
something
got that
that's very
right.
hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the
And-
Entire
understanding that
chapter defining. She wrote an entire chapter in her book about how wokeism is bad, specifically defining this.
Yeah.
Can't think of it right now.
we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression.
Redo society to create hierarchies of oppression. No, wokeism is recognizing that those hierarchies exist and they have already been imposed upon us. It's just recognition. It's being awake and aware that it's a very literal thing. So when you're talking about being like anti-woke, you want to go back to sleep to dreamland. That's what you're talking about doing.
It's just the new term for, politically correct.
Yeah.
Like,
It's the
literally.
new PC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally just another term because it's unpopular to say that I have no
Yeah.
empathy and I don't care
Yeah.
if people just eat shit and die.
Yeah,
That's an
exactly.
unpopular way of phrasing that, and so they need to come up with these euphemisms. And
Yeah.
woke
So
is the
continue
correct
to
one.
ask these people what that means when you're even in real life, anywhere on the interwebs there, and somebody's talking about how being woke is bad. Just ask them very simply, like, hey, just so I'm clear about what you're talking about. What is woke? And they might say something like, oh, you know what it means. It's like, sure, but I'm not sure that we're talking about the same thing. So what do you mean? You know? And see what they say. See how far that gets you. I'd be interested to hear the results of what you may experience if you try this out in real life. But anyway, we're gonna pick this up on some more. I do have some more notes to touch on in regards to the food inflation and food pricing with an article from Stats Canada. We'll pick up on that next week. She did end up writing a Twitter thread to try and defend herself, and I think that didn't go so well for her either. Feel free to find her on Twitter. She's getting thoroughly roasted.
Nice.
It's pretty funny. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Jessica, for being an active part of the chat as always. We love you. We will see you next week, and hopefully I'll by then actually have a proper system that folks can just call in at a whim, and I don't actually have to schedule something and set it up on Discord or whatever.
I mean, realistically, hopefully, by next week, fascism will be defeated. Capitalism will have fallen. Groceries will be affordable, and we'll have nothing to talk about. Hopefully,
hopefully we'll just have a tickle fight in our lingerie, and that will be the show.
I mean, that would be delightful.
Yeah.
Right.
There we go.
So here's hoping.
Well, yes. Thank you once again for watching the Rough Report. We'll be back next Sunday at 8:00 with a new episode, and we'll see you then.